Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan, and let's just rip through the headlines. Let's rip these headlines wide open and see what's going on. Because there's a lot of weird stuff going on today, but it's like all over the place. So we're just going to rip through them, Joan, and comment. I wish the FTC had sued Google in 2013, Biden's acting chair says. That's an interesting development. If big tech, or if the government turns on big tech might turn on the Democrats. So that could be very interesting. I don't really think they're going to go after big tech. They've got too well of a cushy deal going there, but they might. They might. I mean, these people are greedy as F. 54% of Republicans said they believe the Capitol Hill riots, I'll call them, is getting too much attention. A new Pew survey says only 54%. Okay. Senator Coons considered hauling in Facebook, Twitter CEOs for hearing. Whoop-de-doo, Tarantula Town. You guys call these people in for hearings and then nothing gets done. Do something. Rewrite the law. Enforce a law on the books. Enforce 230 against these idiots. But you won't do that. Oh, you're going to call them in for another hearing, another showpiece. So you can say, see, we did something. Ex-Goldman Sachs exec. There's all kinds of crazy. When Gab Trends puts the headlines above the big story, there's stuff going on today. Ex-Goldman Sachs exec buys Jeffrey Epstein's NYC mansion for $51 million. Wow, that must be some place. Must be all the secret passages and places where you could chain up little people. Yeah, I don't know, man. I would never buy Jeffrey Epstein's anything, quite frankly. That's just me. If I had that kind of money, I'd be like, no, tear the thing down and burn the rubble. But I guess it must be a nice place, and he'll refurbish it, I guess. Joe Biden mistakenly refers to VP Kamala as President Harris again. So you can see where his head is. Just take him aside and retire him already. You know, she's practically the president as it is. Everybody knows this. Judge dismisses journalist Atkinson's surveillance lawsuit against former deputy Rosenstein. This, I believe, if I'm remembering the story correctly, this was, I think this was the woman who, I think they were, maybe not. There was a journalist who was working online and actually recorded someone taking over her computer. I'm pretty sure that was her. It looks like her, but it's interesting. They just shoot these things down. It's really hard to prove this. But apparently she claims to have been surveilled, but the judge dismissed the case. I guess there wasn't enough proof. Vladimir Putin ups the ante, challenges Joe Biden to a live public debate without any delays. What? Yeah, you can't put Biden against Putin. I mean, that'll be a massacre. That'll be, as funny as it would be an absolute humiliation for not just Biden, but all of the United States. If anyone in the Biden administration is even thinking about attempting this, please just fire yourself, resign immediately from all politics and common sense, and just go, start a landscaping business or do something that's just outdoors, because you have no business in politics. Okay? You have no business if you think for a second Joe Biden could stand up to Vladimir Putin, he's not a dummy. He is no dummy. No. He's a shrewd guy. I don't like him. I wouldn't want to live underneath his regime, but he's no dummy. And Biden would get absolutely trashed. Biden would get absolutely trashed by a pretty educated 8th grader, quite frankly. Vladimir Putin would eat him for breakfast. Here's a big story. Former president of Drag Queen Story Hour Foundation and Children's Court judge arrested on 7 counts of, bad pictures of children. I'll say, I don't want to say the words for YouTube. Now, a lot of people are saying that drag queen story hours, degeneracy, yada yada yada. Here's my take on it. The problem is when something from the LGBT community is promoted, it's promoted in such a way that there's absolutely no checks and balances. None. Again, this all goes back to the limits on the left. It's assumed that since someone is in the LGBT community, they cannot be a bad person. And we actually wrote about this in Wokistan, and I wrote about it in Hollywook. There's a scene in which a guy comes into an office, and at first the secretary is incredibly hostile to him because he calls her a secretary, and she just immediately goes on a feminist rant. But then he reveals, actually I'm non-binary. And the moment she hears that, it clicks in her brain, oh, he's one of us. Therefore, I can't, I have to be nice to him. And that's the problem with these woke leftists. They immediately assume drag queens, every drag queen is a wonderful person and should be lauded and, given money. And, oh, you can take care of my children, certainly. Like, no, they're just like anybody else. That's why it's about equal treatment and being judged on your character. So you don't just say, oh, drag queen story hour, yeah, I'm going to send my kids there. No, you say, who's running this? Who are these people? Who are these drag queens? I don't know them. Like, are they good people? What's the vetting process here? If they say, what? But this is, you are homophobic, there is no vetting process. That means it's a leftist vetting process. And the leftist vetting process is, oh, well, they're drag queens, therefore they're good. That's not a vetting process. That's blind allegiance to your ideology. And that's the problem. It's not that every drag queen is doing something weird, although they're a little odd to begin with, let's be honest, but certainly nothing like this. These are rare. Yeah, you should vet people as you would normally vet people. And this trend of being, oh, so woke is blinding people to, unfortunately, potential criminals like this. He's only suspected, I'll say. But he was arrested and charged, so that don't look good. White House blames Trump term of Wuhan virus for attacks on Asian Americans. That's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, first off, Trump said it months and months and months ago. Everybody in the media said it. They called it the China virus, and then they backpedaled. Oh, sorry. What happened to the violence then? There was none. So it's just insane that they would blame Trump. It's like, Trump's not around, so they're trying to do it. From National File, here are the 9 Republicans who voted to pass the total Dreamer amnesty for illegal migrants. Check that out on the National File. Remember those rhinos. Actually, let's go through them right now. Why should you wait? Why should you wait? Let me do something. Do something, Tony. Earn my click. No problem. Okay, so who didn't vote? Full list of Republican lawmakers who voted to approve Dream and Amnesty Act. Don Bacon, NE, Nebraska. David Valadao, California, of course. Fred Upton, Michigan. These are all Republicans, I think, but a California Republican. Obviously, it's going to be pretty left. Maria Elvira Salazar of Florida. Dan Newhouse of Washington. Brian Fitzpatrick of PA. Chris Smith of New Jersey. Oh, these are all House guys. I don't know Chris Smith. Carlos Jimenez of Florida. And Mario Diaz-Balart of Florida. I don't know if some of those Florida guys, they sound that they could, they sound like they have Latino names, so it could be that they're Cuban, and really they're voting for this for their Cuban constituents. But still, what's going on with Biden and immigration is just appalling. It's just absolutely appalling. Uh, California bill could ban conservative Christians from serving as police. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, are we just going to have to build a wall around California? Let's be honest. I mean, they really should have broken up the state. I think that really would have helped things. You could have broken up the state, and it would have been managed better. The red sections could stay red. The blue sections could stay blue. You would have had more states. You could have made it even so it split Republican and Democrat. But now this. I mean, it's just tyranny in California, and they want that for the whole country. No, thank you, Democrats. No, thank you. Here's a hilarious story. GoFundMe page to pay off Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's mortgage goes hilariously wrong. How much do you think someone raised for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle to pay off their house? I think it's $15 million or $14 million house. That's right. They raised $110. And 100 was from one donor. So the other two were donated 5. It's just insane that anyone would think that they actually need money. Together or separately, they're worth like $50 million each, something like that, according to one internet thing I saw. Another one said that Harry's worth 40 and she's worth about 5. And that Harry inherited part of his money from Diana when she passed away, about $13 million. I mean, they're millionaires. What you should do is, if you only got $50 million, is not buy a $14 million mansion. Buy like a $2 million mansion. Something more modest. And in California, like $1 million is like, just a big house, basically. That they have a $14 million sprawling mansion. I'm sure there's a pool and cars and a garage and, a fountain or whatever. Hey, come on. If you're so broke, why'd you buy that insanely expensive house? And why are you on TV crying about it? It's just ridiculous. 60 storage bins full of fireworks found at Ontario home that exploded. Left 2 dead. Oofa. That's not good. About 5 dozen containers, each holding the equivalent of 27 gallons, were found crammed with unexploded pyrotechnics during the cleanup after the explosion. Holy cow. I guess you were selling fireworks. Seems like you should have stored them better. NFL rights deal has Thursday games exclusive to Amazon. Whoop-de-doo, Tarantula Town. Couldn't care less about the NFL. But, you guys keep kneeling. Here's I don't know if I talked about this story, but I believe it's Natalie Portman. Yeah, Natalie Portman is rewriting classic fairy tales to make them gender neutral. Because that was in demand for some reason. IRS chief, tax deadline postponement could delay launch of child tax credit program. The IRS is ridiculous. It really started out as a temporary tax to pay for the Civil War. How's the temporary part of that going? Not so good. Here you go, Joe. Go do doggy stuff. Whew, she stinks tonight. And now the IRS is just a sprawling monstrosity that really ought to be eliminated. We have the technology to essentially make it obsolete. Really, we could turn the taxes into Gary Johnson proposed this, a national sales tax, right? So no more IRS taxes, but instead every purchase, like 5% goes to the government, let's say, and that would be amazing, right? So imagine you wouldn't have to do your taxes. And imagine you would actually be encouraged not to consume, right? Because you wouldn't have to pay that 5% or 7% or 10%, whatever the hell it would be, unless you bought something. And it would be a consumption tax, not on food or necessities, but, on things like you buy a TV. You'd pay a couple of tens of dollars extra, a couple $100 extra, or whatever. So it would, people would go, well, maybe we'll have the old TV for one more year or something. That, to me, would make sense. This whole process, this giant, massive bureaucracy we have, could be eliminated. All these people could be, essentially fired. I'm not happy people would lose their jobs, but they could find other jobs because it would free up so much more of the economy. So, just a thought. We will not let you take our voice from us. Representative Meng responds to Republicans' hearing at anti-Asian discrimination. No one's anti-Asian. This is totally insane. The only people who are anti-Asian are radical leftists who want to keep them out of Harvard or make the, curve the test scores so it's harder for Asians to get in. Yeah, that's the people who are racist, hon. Oh, but you won't chastise them. Too busy. Oh, here's something we can beat the Republicans with. The Republicans really ought to push back hard on this because it's just so hypocritical. Asian Americans flock to Second Amendment protection, or flock to Second Amendment for protection. Yeah, they're buying guns. Hello, rooftop Koreans. Anybody remember those guys? The guys who got on top of their store during the Rodney King riots? They're pretty up on the Second Amendment, I believe, Asian Americans. But good for you guys. Stock up. Who the heck knows what's going to happen? From Tim Pool, auto union that endorsed Joe Biden shocked that Ford relocating to Mexico. Trump was stopping them. Wah, wah. You get what you vote for, dummies. Oh, you thought Biden would help the union? How's that working out? Get with the program. And Republicans steal the unions from the Democrats. It's ripe to be stolen from. Approach these people and say, we will get the jobs, we will move the factories back, but you got to support us. We need your money, we need your support. That's it. They would be yours. Do it. Elizabeth Warren suddenly discovers filibuster is racist. Does anybody listen to this woman anymore? I mean, I remember when she came on the Jon Stewart show before she was a senator and talked a good game, but my God, what an absolute phony she turned out to be. It's just amazing. It's just amazing how greedy and money grubbing and they're just so willing to just turn on a dime and say anything. These people, it's really a disgrace. And Elizabeth Warren is just such an empty suit. Explosive German child abuse investigation reveals 200 perpetrators, 300 plus victims in Catholic Diocese of Cologne. Ooh, that's bad. Yeah, the Catholic Church here, there's all sorts of, I really hurt the Catholic Church here and worldwide. It's all coming back again, man. It's a bad problem. Went on for a long time, unfortunately. You think about how old the Catholic Church is. And originally they made priests celibate because they would get married and they would let their kid become the new priest, and they would create these dynasties, and that was the thinking behind it. Well, now you can't have kids. And at first it was kind of like, the church was pretty corrupt and powerful, so these priests were, still doing stuff on the sly. And we're talking like Middle Ages and now. But you got to think, back then, the kind of corruption and debauchery they could put together. I mean, no video cameras, no way of getting caught, no fingerprints, no nothing. It must have been going on for literally hundreds of years. So it's just mind-boggling to think about sometimes. And this is really sort of karma catching up to the Catholic Church. So it's kind of hard to feel sorry for them. I know there are plenty of good Catholics out there and plenty of good priests, but the church really needs to reform. Okay. Matthew McConaughey dumbfounded by Texas lifting mask mandate. It's just a small inconvenience. Oh, well, la-di-da. You keep wearing your mask then. Joe Biden delivers 10-minute speech on vaccines with creepy handler Kamala in the background. Only 1,100 tune in to watch. Yeah, who's watching Joe Biden? I mean, Trump was like riveting. Joe Biden, like, you're just waiting for him to like keel over. Teachers plot to discredit parents who oppose critical race theory. Yeah, this has been going on for a little while. I've seen this trending on, I guess it was Twitter. Maybe not trending, but people were talking about it on Twitter. Yeah, some of these parents or teachers are trying to create groups and lists to discredit people who object to critical race theory. And there's teachers on Twitter saying, "Oh, we'll teach it anyway. We'll sneak it into the curriculum anyway." Critical race theory is really just a poison and a cancer. It's not anti-discrimination law or anything like that. It is teaching racism for academics. And these people have just been poisoned by it. And they think they're in some sort of, I don't know, ideological group, some kind of woke zealotry that they must teach to the children to end racism. And they're actually making it worse because they're forcing these kids to become just as obsessed with race as they are. Fortunately, school is very boring, so most kids will ignore it. Unfortunately, the smart kids will be the ones that are fooled because they're the ones who actually care about school, and they're the ones who will say, "Oh, well, I gotta study this if I'm gonna get good grades," and they'll be, rewarded with little pats on the head and good grades by repeating this nonsense. It should be banned from schools. Trump banned it. You're going to regret, just on this alone, you're going to regret Biden. North Korea issues first threat towards Biden administration through Kim's powerful sister. And, this is Joe Biden again, right? He's weak. He's ineffectual. He would have never would have happened under Trump. No way. Now you know why Trump threatened him. Now you know why he called him Rocket Man. He showed contempt for him. He threatened him. He showed contempt. He's like, "I'm crazy. You try me." Guy backed down. Now Biden's in there, and look what happens. Dem Rep Chu, Atlanta shootings were a culmination of hate stoked by Trump's xenophobia. Oh, thanks. Now, why don't you just, I don't know. Oh, it's on MSNBC's All In. Well, no wonder. Everything's about Trump, even though he's not president anymore. God, the partisanship is just so frustrating. I mean, did you ever hear of people, the Republicans, like, coming on TV talking about Obama like this, Obama's policies were still stuck with it to this day. I mean, and she's not even talking about policies. She's talking about Trump being mean on Twitter, essentially. And it's the same damn narrative that the media pushes over and over again. It's just a disgrace. American Airlines probes John Kerry's violation of U.S. mask mandate. Rules for thee, not for me. There's a picture here. It's of John Kerry on a plane, and he doesn't have his mask on. Let's see, where is it? You got it? Where the heck's the photo? I thought it was here. Oh, I got to go to the story. Read the full story. And there's Kerry, and there he is on a plane without his mask. His mask is there, but it's hanging off. Not supposed to take off your mask. Not supposed to take off your mask. You'd think a guy who was on a plane and he's in the government. No, doesn't apply to him. Who's gonna correct him? Who's gonna stop him? Who's gonna arrest him? Not gonna kick him off the plane. They're gonna say, "Thank you, Mr. Kerry, for riding with us. You're so wonderful." Yes, wear your mask. What a dick. Sorry. Florida Popeyes drive-thru turns into wild brawl and robbery. Video shows. That's from Fox News, if you want to say it. It's pretty crazy. Graham, Republicans promote amnesty for illegals amid border crisis. Oh, great. Well, That's all we don't need. Yeah, don't promote amnesty. Shouldn't be amnesty, dude. Should be a process, but not amnesty. Moderna begins testing beer virus vaccine on babies. I don't think I volunteer my baby for that. Cruz warns of radical American transformation if Democrats kill filibuster. I don't think they will. I'll give credit to Biden. He actually said something sensible. He said, I'm not for eliminating the filibuster, but reforming it back to the old ways where senators actually had to talk through the filibuster, which I don't think I'm against. I think I'm okay with that. I don't mind going back to the old ways. I think the old ways were, in some ways, better. So, okay. That seems like a bit of a compromise. I guess they're banking on the age of some of these blowhards not being able to stand up all that time and filibuster things, but we'll see. Let's see. Rand Paul and Fauci spar over whether wearing masks after beer virus vaccine is just theater. Sounds like it is to me. But we'll see. Up to 2/3 of entry-level tech jobs go to foreign guest workers seeking green cards. Well, just keep letting them in, Biden. Keep letting in the immigrants, and I guess nobody will have a job unless you're willing to work for, I don't know, very low wages. Secret Republican vote to restore earmarks is a betrayal of the voters. House Republican conference to restore earmarks. That's in Congress. Well, that's not surprising. Earmarks are like, pork barrel stuff or this or that. Basically, they just feed money to their districts so they can get reelected. Abbott, this is the Texas governor. Number of people crossing the border will grow tenfold and 100-fold. We can't get info on health status to catch smugglers. Yeah, it's going to be a S show. It's going to be a complete S show. Hang on, Texas. Praying for you. Job claims unexpectedly climbed despite reopening. I don't know who's reopened. I'm in New Jersey, so I guess we're going to be the last to fully open. We're up to 50% capacity. Whoop-de-doo. But in terms of jobs, I mean, there's so many places out of business. It's just ridiculous how many places are out of business now. So it's going to be quite a few years before these places come back. So hang on. Marvel boss Kevin Feige shuts down rumor that Chris Evans is returning as Captain America. I'm kind of surprised because he's super woke and the movies are going to be woke. So I figured he'd come back and just be like, oh, I'm a useless white male, so you can do it better than me. But I guess he doesn't. I guess they can't get enough money for him or whatever. I thought he was a good Captain America, even though he's like super, super woke. I really thought he filled the role very well. He was also Johnny Storm in Fantastic Four. Two Marvel characters he played. Russia demands apology after Joe Biden called Vladimir Putin a killer and threatens further action. Well, thanks a lot, Biden, for opening your damn mouth. And that's about it. That's about it, folks. So it's not all bad, I guess, but it's pretty bad. Pretty bad. Again, we only got about 9 months and 3 years to go. So hopefully a lot will happen in between now and then. Hopefully Biden's mandate will begin to disintegrate and we could look forward to the 2022 elections and the Democrats being swept aside and Joe Biden being impeached, or whoever's president being impeached, because I don't think the Republicans are going to forget your behavior during these times, Democrats. It's been pretty bad for a long, long time.